Mike McConville here again for String Tech Workstations, Stratford, Ontario, Canada. We have these ratio machine heads are now installed. Now the story on these is each string has a different speed or a different gear. Here's something new for you, Jody. You never thought you'd see a 6-speed transmission for a guitar. Anyway, so each string has its own gear. It's kind of an interesting approach. I'm going to put it through the acid test in a second. In the meantime, we're back to our compensated nut. When you see all the work that goes into making a compensated nut and doing it properly, you definitely want to err on the side of caution and leave those strings a bit too high so that you have the luxury when you're doing your final filing to spread the strings out for perfect spacing string to string. Just so you know, I want to give you a heads up on this. I'm just sticking that feeler gauge under to show you. I leave about 32 thou sort of forgiveness, you know, between the top of the crown of the fret and the underside of the string. You need that little bit of forgiveness in the height so you got some material to work with. All right, I want to give you the wrap up on Jeff's Les Paul here. We've got those new tuners in. We did the fret dress at the neck junction. And now we're getting ready to glue that compensated nut into place. Got a beautiful press fit on that. So we'll just get our glue in there, give that brush a little twist. Kind of twirl it as I wipe it through. You don't want too much glue in there, just enough to do the job. So we'll get our nut and just press that into place. All of the intonation values have been done, and you know, I gotta say that I'm actually pretty impressed with these tuners. I was a little bit skeptical at first. And of course we've got our compensated nut, and that is intonated for 10 to 46 strings at concert pitch. When I took these things out of the box, I was pretty skeptical, but so each string has its own gear ratio. I still prefer the look of the Klusons, but these things really work. They do the trick. They keep this thing very constant. You know, when you go to tune the string up, it doesn't sort of jump and catch and slop around. Anyway, so there you go. These are the ratio tuners. This is that D-18 that we're sort of doing in tandem with the Les Paul. I've purposely held off on doing this fret dress because I really wanted to capture this so that you could see, by doing all that preparation, buffing those outside edges and getting the tolerances as tight as we have, by taking that nut out of the way, now I have access to the full length. I don't have to worry about loosening those frets up on the outside edge because we brought those tolerances in so tight. Actually, it's the original frets up here that are grabbing a little bit, but that's it. You can hear now. Yeah, no resistance at all. You can hear the file. Like I said, it sort of goes from a crunch to a whisper. Same deal here on the other side. All those fret ends have been buffed and polished. So when we go to level this, it's effortless, and we don't have to worry about loosening those frets up on the outside edge. And the cross-sectional profile of this fret wire is pretty close to an identical match to the originals. When it's done, it'll be like we've restored the guitar back to factory spec, like the day it was made. So we replaced those first 8 frets to dress these new frets down to the height of the original frets, and then it'll be like the day 30 years ago when Martin got the guitar finished up and ready to ship. We're right back to Martin spec. I'd be doing a lot quicker if I wasn't taking the time to actually demonstrate this. Now I'm going to start at the top end here where that last new fret was put in, the 8th fret. Just very lightly go obliquely along the string path like you've seen in all those other videos. And I'm cross-hatching now, going across the other way, so I'm backing up the fingerboard as I go and just getting any high spots. Make sure that you keep that file moving along the string path. Don't turn it this way or this way. Okay, so moving obliquely across the crown like that. And this is how I corrected that Les Paul and got all those high spots that the fancy computer-operated machines seem to completely miss. The guitar neck and body is supported here. I'm not worried about anything slipping or slopping around while I'm working. The pivoting neck assembly is preventing that neck from flexing we've leveled these new frets down to the height of the original fret. And that is another argument for removing the nuts so that I can go clean through and get that perfect leveling job along the full length of the neck. Just letting that compressor tank charge, and then we'll do our final buff out. Got a couple more tricks to show you about how we can avoid a neck reset on this guitar. It will eventually need a neck reset, there's no way around it, but I got a trick that's going to buy us a couple more years. Okay, show time. Load up that wheel with some jeweler's root. Here we go. Right, we'll clean up that residue and cover our tracks. When we're done, no one would ever know that any frets have ever been taken out of this guitar. They just figure they're the original frets. At the beginning of that last video, I was showing you how the return wind of the string was sort of clumping up onto the saddle. In order to get the natural diameter of the string to fall on the focal point on the tip of the saddle, we need to draw the string further into the bridge pin hole. What I've done here is I've got an extra ball end, I've slipped it on like so. Now when we put that low E string on, the natural diameter of the string is now at the tip. Second string, same deal. Drop that in like so, drop your pin in, pull that up tight, and we're good. I did explain to the customer he's going to need to hang on to these extra ball ends. He's going to need to do this every string change. He'll be able to squeak by with this without getting the neck reset. He might get a couple more years out of it. So if you remember that last video, remember the action on this thing? All I did was put in those ball end strings. You couldn't lower the saddle anymore, but that was enough to bring the guitar from being basically unplayable to being perfect. It plays great. We've done the compensated nut. I need to kind of smooth it out. It's perfectly in tune. It plays smooth as silk now. So he might get, who knows, he might get 2-3 years out of this. But next time around, the neck's coming off, guaranteed. There's quite a bit more geometry going on when you go to replace a Martin nut. A lot more involved. Anyways, this is intonated all the way across now. I wanted to just very slowly pan those new frets, and you can see as we get up to the 8th and 9th, you can't even tell where I stopped. Those are identical replacement frets. You can see there's nothing left on that saddle. He'll definitely need a neck reset next time through. But we have just bought Dan another 2, maybe 3 years of guitar picking bliss.